YouTube is Rico, man, back with another video, man. Y'all see what we got going on. We got 5 unbelievable airplane water landings. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on your post notification bells when you do that, so that way you know when we upload every single day. And don't forget to share our channel with your friends, family, etc. Because if you enjoy this type of content, then 9 times out of 10 they will enjoy this type of content as well. And don't forget to leave a like and comment on the video as well, so we can get more views and recommendations for people to come to the channel and also watch these bangers. But other than that though, man, y'all see what's going on. And I'm going to start the screen record, so we go ahead and get straight into it. That started. Now I'm going to play the video now.
Before we begin, let me get this out of the way first. It is still very safe to travel by air. The fact is, you have more chances of winning the lottery than for a plane you're riding to have a major malfunction. Out of the way, today we're going to talk about heroic pilots who have turned something potentially tragic to something that has a silver lining. I'm talking about landing a doomed airplane on water of all places. Number 1 even ended up with the pilot earning tons of awards and commendations, so stay tuned to learn more about that as we give you 5 unbelievable airplane water landings. Number 5. Pan Am Flight 6. In 1956, Pan Am Flight 6, a Boeing 377 Stratocruiser, took off from Honolulu on a nighttime flight to San Francisco. Little did the crew and the passengers know that they would be making history along the way. During the flight, Pan Am Flight 6 was halfway across the Pacific Ocean when it developed some engine trouble. The 4-engine plane initially only had one of its 4 engines down, but in just moments of the first engine failing, a second one started to have trouble as well. Down on 2 engines, the airplane was ascending into the dark waters below. The plane was barely able to stay airborne, but the pilots knew they had time to think of the best course of action to take. One option was to keep flying until daylight before attempting an emergency landing. Another option was to jettison fuel and try to land on the water immediately. One thing was for sure though, the damaged engines were sucking up more fuel than they were supposed to, making reaching San Francisco or even flying back to Honolulu an impossible task. The decision was made to wait until morning, which in hindsight was the best decision the pilot made. The aircraft successfully made the water landing with all 24 passengers and 7 crew walking out alive.
I ain't gonna lie, that's gotta be scary, bro, because it's like, when you that high up in the air, anything could possibly happen. You could possibly actually control what happens next, or the plane is just so bad that it ultimately make that decision for y'all instead of you actually being the pilot or whatever the case is. But yeah, man, that's gotta be scary though, especially late at night, late at night, because he did say or continue to fly until they reach San Francisco the next morning. So that means they were flying at nighttime, I believe. So that definitely would have been scary. And then you as a passenger don't even really know where y'all at in the air. You just know y'all in the air and y'all over water. And next thing you know, the pilot come on the intercom and tell y'all we're going to have to make an emergency landing in the water. Like, how do you fathom that? Like, I know that's got to be scary, especially if you had your kids or somebody with you that don't know how to swim or never really tried to swim before at all. So yeah, man, I already know anxiety was all the way up there. But as long as they made it out alive, then that's all that matters. But yeah, man, sometimes that stuff can be very, very crazy and risky.
Making Pan Am Flight 6 the first flight in history to land on the ocean with everyone surviving. Number 4. Aeroflot 2124. Murphy's Law is in full effect in this story because almost everything that could go wrong on a flight happened here. Aeroflot Tupolev 2124 was scheduled to fly from Tallinn Airport in Estonia to Moscow Vnukovo International Airport. The 2124, registered as CCCP 45021, carried 44 passengers and 7 crew members. Its trouble started even before takeoff, but was only discovered after the fact when the ground crew noticed a bolt had detached from the aircraft and was lying on the runway. This caused the landing gear to not retract fully, sticking out from the belly of the airplane halfway. The flight would have returned to Moscow Vnukovo to do a belly landing, but permission was denied due to heavy fog. They were then rerouted to St. Petersburg to do an emergency landing at the Vnukovo airport. When circling St. Petersburg to reduce its fuel load, a requirement when doing emergency landings to lessen the added danger of the jet fuel catching fire, the crew had a brilliant idea. They were going to cut a hole at the bottom of the plane from the inside and use a long pole to push the landing gears back into place. The plan would have probably worked, but Murphy's Law once again reared its ugly head. This time, the fuel gauges were defective, and reporting that the plane had more fuel than it actually had. They only found that they no longer had fuel when the engine stopped running. Now, landing in Pulkovo Airport is no longer an option, so the pilot decided to do a water landing on the Neva River. As the 2124 glided and nearly missed the Alexander Nevsky Bridge, the pilot gently landed the aircraft on the Neva. However, as the plane touched down, the fuselage broke. Water started coming in and the Tupolev started sinking. Luckily, though, a tugboat was nearby and arrived near the ditch jet. The tugboat carried the 2124 to a nearby pier, where everyone on board disembarked without any injuries. Local authorities recovered the aircraft 2 days later. Number 3. ALM flight.
Now that one is crazy, man. Y'all nearly almost hit a bridge and barely made it through that. Then on top of that, the plane literally just shut off pretty much in midair because of the engine running out of gas or fuel, whatever you want to call it. Well, fuel, we'll say fuel, jet fuel, pretty much. But running out of fuel. Then on top of that, y'all were basically lucky that y'all was somewhere near a body of water like that to make an emergency landing, because if they were anywhere else, they probably would have definitely had to just land in the middle of nowhere in the ocean or something crazy. So good thing they was by a city already and stuff. But at the same time, it was still very risky because anybody could have possibly had lost their life with that type of landing. And the way they had to land and stuff without any fuel in the jet already and stuff like that. So it wasn't like it was just gliding without any pretty much wasn't like it was just gliding easily through the air, because once the jets turn off, you pretty much gotta still try to steer, basically like a car that went dead if the battery goes off while you driving or something crazy, and then you just gotta steer pretty much. So it's crazy, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it's crazy that they was able to just land right where they landed, pretty much. Because if they would have went anywhere else further, would have been over with, possibly. But good thing they could land.
Flight 980. ALM Antillean Airlines Flight 980 was a flight scheduled to fly from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City to Princess Juliana International Airport in St. Martin, Netherlands, Antilles. The flight carried 57 passengers and 6 crew. The flight crew consisted of Captain Ballsy DeWitt, First Officer Harry Evans II, and Navigator Hugh Hart. Flight 980 made a normal departure from Kennedy Airport and had an uneventful flight to the Caribbean. After the flight was given clearance to descend to 10,000 feet, regional air traffic control advised that weather in St. Martin wasn't really ideal for a safe landing. With that, Captain DeWitt decided the best course of action was to take a detour to San Juan. He was already well on his way when air traffic control radioed again, this time informing the captain that the weather had improved and landing would now be possible. So the captain then turned his plane around back to St. Martin. He lined up for the landing, but due to the bad weather, he failed to see the runway in time, missing his first landing attempt. He tried a second landing attempt with the same results. They tried yet another time, and this time the aircraft was too high on the approach, so the landing had to be aborted yet again. After assessing the weather and fuel situation, the crew elected to divert to St. Croix. While doing so, the crew discovered a fatal error. There was a massive discrepancy between the fuel gauge readings and what had been computed as the amount of fuel remaining. In short, they didn't have enough fuel to land in St. Croix. The crew decided to attempt a water landing in the Caribbean Sea 30 miles off the coast of St. Croix. Amazingly, everything happened without the passengers knowing anything of the situation. You see, the PA system on the aircraft wasn't working, and although the pilot flashed the seatbelt prior to ditching in the water, the passengers were still completely in the dark as to what was about to happen. And unfortunately, due to this lack of info about what was going on, 23 people lost their lives in this incident. Now it's time for the day's best.
See, that's what I be talking about, man. Sometimes this stuff can get very risky, man, because it ain't no telling how that situation would go, man. But this one definitely is crazy. 23 people out of the, I believe what they say, 47 passengers or whatever, passed because of that. And then on top of that, the plane didn't even have a proper fuel reading, so they pretty much ran out of gas. And then on top of that, the pilot didn't even tell nobody that he was getting ready to do something like this and stuff. So it's just definitely crazy, man. Especially being in the middle of the water, that's definitely scary, man. Because some people don't know how to swim, and some people are scared of the water. So, man, it's crazy, man. I'm glad I ain't had no experience where we had to make an emergency landing. So that's all I gotta continue to be thankful for, man, for sure, when I'm flying in the air, man. Just that we don't ever have to make an emergency landing like that at all. Because Lord knows I'm gonna be definitely terrified if they ever say we gotta make an emergency landing in the middle of the water or somewhere. No good.
Today's big is a weird story that may or may not have involved the use of illegal drugs. What's certain is that the crew never intended to make a water landing, but did so unknowingly anyway. Curious to find out more? Well, it's coming next with number 2. Lion Air Flight 904. Lion Air Flight 904 was a scheduled domestic passenger flight from Hussein Sastranegara International Airport in Bandung to Negara Rai International Airport in Bali, Indonesia. On the 13th of April 2013, the Boeing 737-800 operating the flight crashed into water short of runway while on final approach to land. There were 2 pilots and 5 flight attendants with 101 passengers on board, consisting of 95 adults, 5 children, and 1 infant. 97 passengers were Indonesian, 1 French, 1 Belgian, and 2 Singaporean. 6 of the crew were Indonesian, while 1 man came from India. The Indonesian National Transportation Safety Committee published a preliminary report on May 15, 2013. Flight data show that the aircraft continued to descend below the minimum descent altitude, 466 feet from ground level. The report found that at 890 feet, the first officer reported that the runway was not in sight. At approximately 151 feet, the pilot again stated that they could not see the runway. Flight data showed that the pilots attempted to perform a go-around at approximately 20 feet, which proved too late as the aircraft made contact with the water surface moments later. All this information was gathered from the plane's flight data recorder. However, no instances of mechanical, electrical, nor instrumental failure which might indicate to a possible cause of the crash. Thus, investigators had to look into a different cause of the accident: human error. In January 2017, Buddy Waseso, the chief of Indonesia's National Narcotics Agency, said the pilot of Lion Air Flight 904 was under the influence of drugs at the time of the accident, and had hallucinated that the sea was part of the runway. Apparently, Lion Air employees had a history with illegal drugs. In January 2012, a number of crew members had been found in possession of crystal meth. Their licenses were understandably revoked. However, that claim is at odds with the statement made after the accident by Indonesia's Transport Ministry, which said the pilots had not tested positive for drugs. Fortunately, there is some good news that came out of this incident. All passengers and crew came out relatively unharmed from the unfortunate crash, with only a few having minor injuries. Before we move on, do me a favor.
And that's the worst thing you could do as a pilot and stuff like that, man. You literally in charge of everybody's life. Like, you're responsible of everybody's life on your plane. Like, literally everyone. Now, I could see if it wasn't your fault that the plane crashed or whatever, like he said, it wasn't no mechanical errors. But like I was saying, though, if it was mechanical errors, then that's pretty much not on him. But you literally made a error that you had control of, but took it upon yourself to be under the influence of drugs, flying thousands of feet in the air and then trying to land, but you couldn't see where you were going, and next thing you know, you ultimately landed in the water. Now, I'm pretty sure he possibly got charged with stuff. I don't know for sure because this is in another country, so I really don't know what happened, and he didn't go into detail of what really happened with the pilot after that. Well, all they did was say that the pilot and crew members got their licenses revoked or whatever, understandably due to that. But he never really said if anybody got charged with anything for having drugs, etc., etc. So definitely, if that was in the U.S., I know for sure that those people would have got charged with something, because you literally could have lost not only your life but other people's lives as well in your hands due to an error you made based off of you being under the influence of hard drugs. So that stuff crazy, man. They definitely don't deserve to work again for an airport, let alone anywhere that might require them to be in charge of people's lives, etc. Because they ultimately could have lost everyone's during that day due to them wanting to be having drugs or under the influence.
Analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on, guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1.
Facts. You guys do the same thing on our channel, man, for real. Because on our analytics, it says about 94% of y'all are not subscribed but watching our videos, and only 6% of y'all are that are subscribed are watching. So we gotta do better, y'all. Come on, man. I know y'all can do better than that, man. And if y'all don't like what we posting, then comment down below what y'all want me to react to or post, man. That's why I be telling y'all to comment down below, man. That's why that comment section is right there. Y'all gotta let us know what all y'all want to see and stuff. And don't worry, those videos will come. Period. But y'all gotta comment down below and say what y'all want to see, or else it won't ever come. Closed mouths don't get fed. Just remember that.
U.S. Airways Flight 1549. On January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was scheduled to fly from New York City's LaGuardia Airport to Charlotte Douglas. The aircraft was an Airbus A320, one of the biggest at the time. How is this information relevant? Well, you'll find out soon enough. The captain and pilot in command was 57-year-old Chelsea B. Sullenberger, a former fighter pilot who had been an airline pilot since leaving the United States Air Force in 1980. At the time, he had logged 19,663 total flight hours, including 4,765 in an A320. He was also a glider pilot and expert on aviation safety. Again, though, why is this information important to the story? Just be patient. I'm getting right into it. You see, Flight 1549 is the biggest aircraft to have ever been forced down by bird strikes, and Captain Sullenberger, also known as Captain Sully, is the first and only person to have ever flown such a massive airplane unpowered and landing it safely with 0 casualties. What happened was, just a few minutes after taking off, the plane struck a flock of Canada geese at an altitude of about 3,000 feet. That isn't the altitude for where bird strikes can occur. The pilot's view was filled with the large birds. Passengers and crew heard very loud bangs and saw flames from the engines, followed by silence and an odor of fuel. Realizing that both engines had shut down, Sullenberger tried desperately to restart the engines, but to no avail. The plane began a rapid descent. At this point, Sully radioed a mayday, but was quickly thinking of a way to save the passengers. He initially asked permission to do an emergency landing in New Jersey's Teterboro Airport, but he soon realized they weren't going to make it that far. He then decided to land the plane in the Hudson River. And so he did successfully, landing the massive aircraft in the Hudson River with no fatalities or even major injuries. Captain Sully was given honors upon honors for his successful landing, and for saving the lives of hundreds of people. The incident has since been called the Miracle on the Hudson. Know of any more?
Now, for sure, whatever would have happened, that definitely wouldn't have been his fault, but yeah, man, that is crazy. Like, just to take off and all of a sudden you end up running into a pair of birds, like a group of them. I know people was blue as hell. Like, come on now, man. Y'all possibly lost a lot of stuff. But at the same time, of course, your life is more important and stuff. And we already know that your life comes first before materials and other things that aren't worth your life. But, man, I just know that was crazy. Like, y'all literally getting ready. All right, yeah, I'm finna go home or whatever. Go visit family, see my kids, this and that, whatever the case is. As soon as y'all take off, y'all literally gotta do an emergency landing. And not no regular emergency landing. Like, y'all literally gotta do a super duper emergency landing. And ultimately in a whole huge body of water. Tough. I would have definitely been ticked off, but at the same time, thankful that my life was saved. But yeah, man, that was crazy, man. That's a lot of crazy stuff happening in these videos that I've been reacting to lately, man. But I enjoy reacting to them, though, man. So y'all enjoy them as well, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're brand new. And don't forget to turn your post notifications on. And don't forget to share our channel with your friends and family as well after you do so, and tell them to do the same. Because if y'all enjoy this content, then 9 times out of 10, your family, friends, etc. are going to enjoy this content as well. Other than that, man, we on the grind to 1,200 subscribers. We're right there, y'all. Come on, we only like, what, 12 subscribers away, 14 subscribers away. So, man, y'all 14 people that's brand new to the channel, subscribe right now and get us to 1,200 subscribers, man, because we right there. But other than that, though, I'm going to see y'all later on with more videos, and have a good day. Peace.